until I really got the hang of it. Oh crap, dropped my vape. What's up guys, I'm Jack Davis, Formula Drift Pro Spec driver, avid car enthusiast. Today I wanted to talk to you about my drifting journey, how I got to where I am, and who I am.
Who inspires you the most on track? Do you have an idol?
That's a good question. It would probably be someone like James Dean or Vaughn Gittin Jr. Those guys growing up were like idols to me. You know, they're legends in the drifting sport. I fell in love with them growing up. I just wanted to do what they did, and ever since then, I've been working towards that goal.
How do you stay motivated and passionate about drifting?
For me, to stay motivated, all I gotta do is get behind the wheel, and my motivation goes right back up to fix the cars. Every now and then, we'll have some downtime, and I'll get a little unmotivated, and we won't work on anything for a while. But man, after a few days, a few weeks, I get that itch again, and some cars gotta get fixed, and we gotta get back to the track. It's like an addiction for me. Driving, that's what I love to do. So I'll find a way to get to the track. No matter what car I'm in, we will find a way. Whether it's my buddy's car, whether it's my car I'm rebuilding, or my professional race car, we will find a way to get to the track. It's easy for me to stay motivated when I'm ready to drive, when everything's working. Even when it's not, just because I love the sport so much. If I didn't love it as much as I did, I wouldn't spend the crazy hours I do in the shop, working on things, getting stuff built and ready to go. I wouldn't do it if I loved it. So for me, it's not too difficult. If you love it, you're gonna make it happen.
What's the best piece of advice you received about drifting?
The best piece of advice I have ever received from drifting is probably the staple you hear everywhere: keep it simple. So as a young mechanic or as a young guy who's into cars, if you build this crazy car that's going to be super complicated, super expensive to work on and fix, you're just simply not going to want to do it. If you go to a track day and you spend 5 hours fixing some stupid problem on your crazy complicated belt system or whatever the case may be, you're going to become uninterested. So having a simple car that's basic, easy to work on, is going to provide you more ease of mind, and it's going to provide you more time on the track, which is what's going to keep you motivated and keep you happy, help you keep driving and improve as a mechanic, improve as a car person, improve as a driver.
Do you still remember the first time you went drifting? Can you describe your first drift experience?
So the first time I went drifting, I can definitely remember it. It was March 7th, 2015 in Stroud, Oklahoma. I was 15 and a half years old, I think, driving my Mazda Miata. I had my permit at the time, and my grandma was with me because I had a permit, right? I think she actually drove down there with me. I had my family there with me. One thing I remember is I didn't even bring spare tires. I had zero tire. Like, I drove there expecting to drive all day long on the same set of back tires and drive the car an hour home. I didn't even know that you had to change tires at the time. I just knew I wanted to go do it, I wanted to try it, and I went. Didn't have any spare tires, nothing. Didn't know about angle kits or anything like that. And I remember wondering, how do people drive and not spin out every lap? It was something I struggled with my first event. I'm like, I don't understand it. How do these people do it? And by the end of like the second event, I figured it out. So it's crazy for me to go back and think about that. But yeah, 15 and a half years old, driving a stock Miata in Stroud, Oklahoma, this big parking lot event. It was super fun. It's my very first time drifting. And from then on, I fell in love with it.
How long did it take for you to feel confident in your drifting skills?
So for me, it probably took 2 to 3 years in the beginning. Granted, I was really young. I was working at a minimum wage job. I could only go to so many drift events. So my practice was limited. I didn't have a simulator or anything like that at the time. I would say probably 2 to 3 years, I felt comfortable with leading and doing solo runs. I was still dabbling in tandem. Obviously, I was not very comfortable with that at the time, but probably 2 to 3 years, I would say, and then I was pretty comfortable behind the wheel navigating the track.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned from your drifting career?
The most valuable lesson that I have learned: never think you're too smart to ask questions. If you're at the track and someone is doing better than you, or they have something figured out and you don't be afraid to go ask questions. You know, this is drifting, not grudge racing, drag racing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but in the drift community, everybody wants to help each other out for the most part. I've been drifting for 10 years now, and I haven't really seen any beef or any bad blood between drivers. So never think you're too smart or you're too good to ask for help, ask answers. The team across the pits from you might have the answer you're looking for. If you just go over and talk to people, you learn a lot faster. So don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It'll help you in the long run, and you'll make friends doing it.
Where do you see yourself in the drifting world in the next 5 years?
In 5 years, I would hope to have a well-oiled machine of a drift team. Hope to have multiple cars running at the track every weekend. Still on the professional level, doing better than I am today. Obviously, we want to do the best we possibly can. So, somewhere around there. A professional team, multiple cars, multiple events, and getting on the podium at some of the biggest events all across the country, hopefully. I think it's doable in 5 years. We'll see. But I would love for something like that to turn into reality for me and my team.
How has your drifting style evolved since you started?
I think it's evolved with my confidence, really. I mean, in the beginning, I wasn't sure about how things were going to happen. I wasn't sure how to make the car do this. So over time, I think my aggression level has just rose. It's risen a lot higher. So the better I've got, the more aggressive I've been, the more willing I have been to take bigger risks on the track, the more comfortable I've been with myself, with my car, driving through the blind smoke, all the things like that. I would say in the beginning, I was probably really timid. I didn't want to wreck my car. At the time, they were still mostly stock cars. Now I have the knowledge to fix the car myself, so I'm a little bit more willing to drive harder. And as my skills got better, I became better, and it looked more aggressive on the track. And overall, it just cleaned up. When you watch a guy and he looks really timid, you can tell he's scared. He doesn't know what's going on. He's not fully comfortable in himself or the car. But when you see a guy that's fully comfortable in the car, he's just out there ripping, throwing backies, running a crazy line. And I'd put myself somewhere around there.
Can you share a memorable moment from your early drifting days?
A memorable moment for me would probably be when I had my second drift car, which was a Nissan 350Z. I was competing at an event in Stroud, Oklahoma again, another parking lot event, pretty much where I learned how to drift. And it was sponsored by Enjuku Racing. And Nate Hamilton and Kevin Lawrence were there, two professional Formula Drift drivers at the time, and they were actually the judges of that competition. I ended up winning my first few battles and got knocked out, but it was really cool to have two professional drivers at the track, my local track at the time, watching me drive and judging me on the track. I probably won't forget that one. It was a really cool experience. I still remember it, and I've actually talked to them about that same exact event a few different times.
Where's the best venue/track where you compete and why?
The best venue in my mind is probably going to be Utah Motorsports Campus. It's a beautiful track. You're surrounded by mountains all over. The place is just beautiful. It's like out of a magazine. The actual track itself is super nice. The whole complex is super nice. They have a bunch of supporting things around the track. That's probably the nicest track. My favorite track is probably Road Atlanta. I love that track. You can be super aggressive. You come down the hill going super fast. Then you got to go up, make it just right, touch the rumble strips, slow the car down a ton to hit the outer zone, come around the sweeper. You have a little touch and go. You got to flick the car back really fast, click fourth gear coming down the hill. Then you're just pinned right towards a wall. Then you got to flick it again, have another inner clip. Then you go to the outer again and run straight down the track. It's exhilarating. It's very fast. It's very fun. One of my favorite tracks.
Do you have some unique personal superstition or ritual you have before a race? And if so, what is it?
Before a race weekend, I'll trim my beard. I think I'll give my beard a little line up because if it ain't looking right, I'm gonna be doing bad at the track. No, I don't think I do really. I like to clean my windshields all the time, make sure my windshield's super clean. Even if it's already clean, I'll clean it again. I guess that would be kind of like a little weird thing I do. For me, I got glasses that can get dirty. I got a visor that can be dirty. And then I got a windshield that can be dirty. So I got three things that have to be clear for me to make it through the track, right? So probably wiping my windshield off is something I like to do before every battle. We got to clean the windshield. That's probably what I do.
What's the longest you've gone without sleep before a race? When was that, and any reasons?
I've done this a few times. probably like 3 days